Hi guys, just let me get this noodle on my wheel. This I don't think it's going to work. Well, anyway, enough of the humour, and we're going to be talking about today the Vittoria insert that has just been released. And the reality is this actually may be the holy grail of flats for when you're riding, and no system really offers so far where you don't have to take anything with you to get back home if you have a flat. But this system has the potential to be the holy grail of flats, where if you get a flat, this actual insert will take over and actually keep your tyre inflated so you can get home. So let's just dive into the video and let's just see how good this system possibly could be. Well, foam tyre liners are nothing new, and you can go way back, years, possibly even decades, where homemade jobs were done, and these liners were put into the tyres, especially for stunt bikes where they run their tyres extremely flat so they can actually jump from the corners of steps or even ponds or whatever to jump over to get to the other side and land, and they give it quite a lot of cushioning. But the problem these stunt guys had is the tyre would burp or lose inflation because it would come away from the rim at those low pressures. So they used to put these foams in to keep the tyre on the rim. So it was a pretty clever sort of idea. And then it came a commercial product, and it started to infiltrate into the mountain bike industry, where they actually suffered, on very rocky trails, or if you were bouncing over something, you'd have this blurping because you're trying to run the tyre at a very low pressure. And now we actually have them released on the road. And apparently a few teams have been using these in the pro peloton. So let's just have a look at how this thing is supposed to work. Now, unlike the old designs, which was where they just had some foam and they could just put it in there, and the foam was primarily just to kind of hold the casing out to stop it blurping. In road, that's not really the point. The point that we want the actual foam insert to do is to actually hold the tyre open or against the actual hooks, or the clincher against the hooks or the hookless rim, so you can actually ride for some distance on this actual foam insert whilst there's actually no pressure above atmosphere inside the tyre. Now, I've got this pool noodle here, and as you can see, it actually has a foam here which has been cut, so this is not closed. But if you look at the side, it has a sealed effect where the actual cells in the actual foam are what we call a closed cell foam. It's not that foam you cut that sort of has all the bits that come off it. And because it's closed cell, those cells inside the actual foam actually remain at normal atmosphere, or the atmosphere when it was actually made. So when we actually pump our tyre up, the actual air inside the tyre will actually be of a higher atmosphere and will compress that liner down so it becomes smaller. And once it's smaller, it actually doesn't interfere with the tyre and the sealant to do its normal job when you're running in its normal configuration. Now, okay, we say to ourselves, okay, we want to run this new system, see what it's like. So there's a few things we need to look at. Now, first of all, there's the cost. Now, the cost is actually quite expensive, and I've got the cost right here. It's actually about, for just one tyre, the kit is actually $47.97, and that's not including the tyre. That's just the insert and the actual tools that come with it and the sealant. And if you want to buy the actual two, there actually is a kit which I think works out slightly cheaper, and that one's $123 US. So they're actually pretty pricey. It's not like just a bit of foam we're buying like I did from the pool shop, and it's like $4 or $5. So it is actually quite an expensive investment if you want to go this way. Now, the tools you actually need to put the tyre on, because apparently it's actually quite difficult, and people are actually even saying it's a little bit more difficult than putting a tubeless tyre on, because when you actually try to get the tyre on, you need to get the tyre into those wells that sit into the middle of the rim to actually get the other side on, so you've got that extra little bit of give to get those hooks over the edge of the rim. So you need to use these special tools that hold the actual tyre away from the hooks, because the foam's trying to push it out, and you put them around the rim, and then you have like a special tool at the end that actually levers that hook onto the rim. So you need to have these special tools, and you also need to have some sort of skill. So it may take you a few times to try and get this thing on. And also the sealant needs to be put in, but the modern tubeless now are getting a lot better, and you can insert that through the valve after you've put all that stuff on. So you don't need to tip it in to the bottom of the tyre like that has been done in the past. So the installation's a little bit different, and the installation can be a little bit tricky. Now the Achilles heels of this foam may be the actual firmness of it. Now if I try and squeeze this foam here, which is a pool noodle, it's quite firm. But if you actually go and watch the Vittoria video on the actual insert where they're demonstrating the product, he squeezes it and it looks quite soft. And this I think could actually be the Achilles heels, because when you actually have a flat and the atmosphere, which may be 2 bar, 3 bar inside the tyre, is released, that 1 bar that's inside the noodle is going to allow that noodle to expand, and actually then will fill the casing and hold the tyre on your rim so you can ride on it. Now if that foam is too soft, it's going to be very spongy, it's going to feel quite like horrible to ride on. It needs to have enough firmness so it's still going to roll and you can still corner reasonably well. We're not expecting it to be like a normally inflated tyre, but you expect it to be good enough so you can maybe ride at about 80%. And this I think will be the key. But if Vittoria can actually get this to work, I'm kind of like a bit interested to try this, because it means then you can go out on your bike, you can set this system up, even though it may be a little bit more difficult at home, and you don't have to carry anything with you. You basically don't have to carry any levers, any tools, you don't have to carry a pump, you don't have to carry nothing. You just jump on your bike and ride. And I mean, I take a lot of stuff. I mean, I've got a spare tyre and I've got some sealant and other things, and I can give that away. Now, even though my tubulars, I have very, very few flats. I maybe only have one a year, and quite often a lot of my flats are where the latex has actually corroded the inside of the tyre, and it fails not because it had a flat, because of just age and the age of the actual sealant. But if I could get this new system and I don't have to carry a spare tyre, I don't have to carry sealant, I don't carry anything, that could be a killer, and it's just a pain to carry those things quite often, especially if you just got your jersey pockets. So I'm quite optimistic about this technology. It could actually be the holy grail of flats for road cycling. But on the flip side, I don't know how it's going to perform as far as performance, because for us weekend warriors, it could be a really good product. But for the pros, it may actually have some form of affecting the speed of the tyre, and this will have to be shown in some tests. And this product's it's only been out days, so we don't really know. But it is an interesting tech that really could change the whole way we look at flats. Cheers.